Through this interview with my friend Michael, I will explore Erikson's 6th and 7th stages of psychosocial development, as well as the concept of aging. Michael is in his late 50s and has had a lifetime of experiences that will help me understand the processes listed above in greater depth. All right. What stands out the most when you look back at your life?
Probably my 30 years of teaching.
All right. Does that seem more important now or when it was happening or while you were teaching?
Probably when it was happening because I
Mhm.
felt like I was touching students' lives and directing them in the right direction.
Awesome. What are some major conflicts you have had throughout your life?
Um, One of the biggest ones, I guess, was my first year of teaching out in
Mhm.
Hugoton, Kansas. That I didn't make it through the year because the kids. I was getting windshields broken out of my car, windows broken out of the house. My wife was scared to death, so I ended up resigning that job in February. When I took another teaching job in 1982, I moved all the way to Beaumont, Texas, and it worked out good. I mean, moving to Texas helped me. I finished out 30 years of teaching there, so raised a family there. So it turned out good.
Great. How did that shape your life other than moving to Texas and starting to teach there? Did the Hugoton events?
Um, well, yeah, like I say, I got out of teaching for probably
Mhm.
4 or 5 years.
Oh,
I had
okay.
some other jobs. I was assistant manager at a Food for Less grocery store. I worked in a battery factory. I knew that wasn't where I wanted to be. While I was working at the battery factory, Beaumont, Texas called, wanted to know if I wanted a teaching job again, so I went back to it. Turned out to be a good call. Like I said, I spent 28, 29 years in Beaumont.
So, if you could go back, would you do something differently?
Yeah, I probably would have never started out in high school because I taught high school classes twice. And as I said, the first time in February in Hugoton, I gave that one up. And I had taught several years at the middle school level in Beaumont. I was coaching the girls softball team at the high school level. The
Mhm.
high school woodshop teacher left. He wanted me in there. I went and took that job, and that's when my little depression started. And
Mhm.
like I say, Mom had died, and I had a daughter in college that wasn't
Mhm.
having such a good time, and I think all three of those things kind of
Right.
picked at me. So.
All right. So, overall, what would you say has been the most rewarding part of your life?
Probably the most rewarding part was my teaching career. I
Mhm.
mean, I really think that I helped a bunch of kids. I taught semester classes, probably had 120, 130 kids per semester.
Wow.
And in 30 years, I got to touch a lot of lives. And I know there's several that I helped.
Mhm.
And there's some that, you kind of felt like, at middle school anyway, you thought, oh, this kid's going to be terrible when he gets older. Those are the ones that seem to come back and find me and say, hey, you don't remember me, do you? And yeah, I do remember you. And they've made something out of their lives, and they've been very successful. And that makes me feel good inside that I was able to help some of those kids.
That's great. As Michael was talking about his career, he has mentioned some highs and lows that show his journey through Erikson's 7th stage of development. This stage is referred to as generativity versus stagnation. When a person experiences generativity in this stage, Erikson refers to them as having been successful in this area of development. Therefore, stagnation would be seen as a failure. In Michael's case, he has experienced both sides. However, when he looks back, he focuses on the aspect of generativity and how he has positively influenced many lives, and that has made his life worthwhile, rather than dwelling on the negatives and the abuse he suffered. Um, so you said you first met your wife in college. What age did you guys get married?
Oh my gosh, let's see. Was I 20 or 21? I must have been 21
Okay.
because I started college when I was 17 years old
Mhm.
and graduated when I was 21, and we got married. That's at the end of that summer in August. So about 3 weeks, I guess, before I turned 22, we were married.
Awesome. Moving on to Erikson's 6th stage, we can see that Michael definitely opted for intimacy rather than isolation. Seeing the success in this stage can lead us to believe that Michael was also successful in his 5th stage of identity versus role confusion. Michael also hinted at this earlier in knowing that he wanted to be a teacher even as he just entered college. How many kids do you have?
I have two girls.
Okay.
They both are married with kids too. So I have 4 grandkids, 3 girls and 1 boy.
How do you view your kids now as adults?
I think they're great parents. I never had any doubt that they would be, but they're
Mm-hmm.
actually proven to me that they're better parents than I might even have thought. It's really cool to see them. For example, the things they do with their kids or where they discipline their
Mm-hmm.
kids. I see a lot of what we did to them or
Mm-hmm.
for them
Yeah.
to discipline them as kids. I also see a lot of new things that I wish I'd have tried something like that.
Yeah.
It looks like it works pretty good.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to see your own kids become parents and see how they deal with situations. And my 2 kids, they couldn't be better moms. I know that.
Is there anything else you want to add?
Since I lost my wife, I have been pretty lonely, and I've found another woman that she and I met on Catholic Match. We actually met each other, and we've been talking to each other since February of 2013 on the phone. I actually met her for the first time face to face at the end of May last year,
Wow.
and we've been seeing each other ever since. And actually, I think things may be getting serious.
Wow.
So I just didn't want to live the rest of my life by myself. My wife and I were married 32 years, and although it wasn't always peaches and cream, I missed a partner and
Right.
somebody to come home to, and somebody to talk to, somebody to yell at me, somebody to argue with me or whatever. But we haven't had any of that, and I'm glad we seem to get along together real well, and I'm looking forward to spending the rest of my life with her.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
The one flaw I find in Erickson's stages is that they nicely transition, but they don't overlap. And I find that especially in the 6th and 7th stages, there is a massive overlap. As Michael expresses the pride he has in his daughters, that correlates to generativity, yet also he further develops his relationship with them and his grandchildren, so we also see a link to intimacy. Intimacy is also apparent in the new relationship that he is now involved in. How has aging, do you think, affected your health? Or your memory or exercise or any other aspect of your life?
Boy. Well, I've had 2 knee surgeries on each knee, orthoscopic stuff. I'm actually slated to have have approval for a left knee replacement. I'm actually waiting for my right knee to catch up so I get them both done at the same time because I'm just going to rehab once. I've noticed a lot of things. I mean, I had to start wearing glasses when I was 40. I was pretty avid in sports and all. I played shortstop in baseball, and I noticed that when we have a school volleyball game that I wasn't as quick to the ball or couldn't get the ball bumped up high enough to get somebody to get it over the net.
Right.
Obviously, muscles ache a little bit more, joints are a little bit more stiff, that kind of thing. I know that you like to play softball, and I offer to go out and play catch with you.
Yeah.
But I'll go do it. I just don't know how much I can do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I still play golf and I bowl, and as long as I can walk and get around and stuff, I'm doing okay.
Yeah. Now you are working again at the Cosmosphere.
I am.
And what would you say your work limitations are now?
As far as work limitations go, I really don't feel like I have any. There's some jobs that I wouldn't go back to. I don't really want a full-time teaching job again. I would go back and sub. However, I taught driver's ed for quite a few years. If I found a full-time driver's ed job again, I think I would take that. A lot of people think I'm crazy, but I really had a good time teaching driver's ed. But working at the Cosmosphere is kind of a dream job. I love working here, and I'm just having a great time.
What advice do you have to give about aging?
I live by I'm as young as I feel.
Yeah.
And I'm actually doing things now that I've never done in my life before. I went scuba diving today for the first time. I've never done that before, and I really surprised myself. Rope climbing, that kind of stuff I've done with these camps that I'm working with the Cosmosphere, so it's all been good stuff. Don't let anybody tell you you're getting old. You don't notice it. When I was probably when I was in my teens or so, I thought that 50 or 60, that's getting pretty old. But now that I'm 58, going to be 59, I don't consider that to be old at all. Really, you're as young as you feel. You do the things that you want to do. Don't let somebody tell you you're old.
Awesome. As Michael expresses his feelings about aging, I can't help but think about how gracefully he will age. Probably without knowing, Michael is following all of the guidelines to aging successfully. First off, he is continually involved with a wide variety of other people, and does not appear to have plans to drift away from these conditions. This social support is crucial to the further development of his brain. Michael is also avidly trying new things, and in his work environment is always challenged to rise to the occasion. This will help with the adaptability of his brain cells. And finally, Michael does not believe that he is old and will not let his age be an invisible barrier that will hinder his abilities.